Hello my gems, it is me, Creator Jules, and today we're talking about how to get started in music. If you've been to this channel before, you might have noticed that I've talked about a lot of entrepreneurial advice and a lot of creative stuff. If you haven't been to my channel before, you have probably never heard of me. So let me tell you a little bit why I'm qualified to talk about how to get in music. My background is actually in PR and journalism. I then went into digital marketing, and then I was in venture capital. So my background is actually very, very business oriented, but I have always been in the creative community. I actually ran a business called How to Be Social, and it was about teaching creatives how to do business. And ever since then, I have been really interested about getting into the creative community for myself. I really started in modeling, was creating music ever since I was young, but I never really took it seriously until this last year. So that's a little bit about me. Let's get started with how to get started in music. First is you just have to be curious. Go after your thoughts, your feelings. What is it that really gets you going about music? Is it that you play a little bit of guitar and you really want to start turning that guitar into fully produced music? Or maybe you really love lo-fi beats and you're really interested in being able to create those for yourself. Or maybe you just find instrumentals and you're an amazing freestyler. Well, if any of this sounds like you, or maybe you just can carry a tune and it makes you feel good to sing, then keep listening. And don't forget that everybody has their own path. That's why it's important to be curious and to try a lot of things. In my journey, what was most important was the fact that I never gave up. I have constantly been around music my entire life, but I never really found my place within it. And what I'm learning is that I'm supposed to be creating a place and a space for other people to inhabit. So if you're feeling like I just don't have my people or my place, then that's okay. Maybe that just means that you're meant to be a leader and to create a space for others so that people that are like you can get into music too. Step 2, you just gotta do it. At some point, you've got to pick up the guitar, you've got to watch the YouTube tutorial, you've got to sit down and download GarageBand and just start putting something together. My boyfriend and I, who's a music manager, actually has a friend that got started by making beats on his iPhone and iPad. So there are a million different ways to get into it. The most important part is just to do it. If I had never, actually when I first got started in music, like legit, it was back in 2019. At the very end of the year, I was like, man, it's always been on my bucket list to make an album. And I really want to make an album. And so what I did was I just started really getting invested in it. I started buying equipment off Amazon, like little midis and things like that. And I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to do it. And so I got all the equipment, and I'll be honest, I had no idea what I was doing with it. I tried, but it just felt like every time I would sit down at the computer to try to create a beat, I would fail completely. One thing that I was really good at, though, that I didn't give myself enough credit for at the time, was whenever I'd hear a lo-fi beat, I would just sing on top of it, and it would be so natural for me. And I was a really great singer-songwriter. I can pick up my guitar and create music like that. And honestly, I'm like looking over my guitar, I'm like, do I go get it? That's for another video. Go check out my TikTok or my Instagram, and if you comment on this video, I will create you your own little song. It's something that I really like to do. If you ever watched Wayne Brady and Whose Line Is It Anyways, this is something that he would do. Getting back on track. When I started buying all this equipment and figuring out that I couldn't do it on my own, I almost gave up. This was January 2020. And I was still really interested in it, and I was starting to talk to maybe some different producers, and I had no idea how to start music at this time. Like, I literally had zero clue. And it's really interesting because my brother-in-law and my sister were actually in music at the time, and they were building their studio and doing all this stuff, but they were just so far away that it didn't seem like a reality to like do music with them. And it also was really expensive to do music with a professional producer. It can range from anywhere from $100 an hour to thousands and thousands. So you just have to be really careful with what you have and what you're willing to invest. Because even the money that I spent on the Amazon products and stuff like that, It probably came out to around $100, $200. It wasn't anything crazy. And looking back, I didn't even buy the right equipment because I didn't know what I was doing. So that's why just doing it is such an important part of the process, because there's going to be failure. There's going to be moments where you just don't do it right. But that's what led me to my next point in life, where I actually met my boyfriend, now boyfriend. At the time, we had been friends on Instagram for like years and years and years. It's really cute, our story. One day I'll make a video about that because like, it's beautiful. Getting back to the just do it point. So because I had just done it, I was able to tell people like, yeah, like I'm actually really interested in music. I just bought some equipment. I'm really trying to like get into it. You know, it showed that I had initiative, and that people that were already in the music industry, they were like, oh wow, like she actually wants to do this. And so I think when I met this group of people that were all in music that eventually became my producers, and we did some trades of services, that was probably something that really intrigued them. I also had a lot of other skills like marketing and business that I was able to offer in place of being able to pay. And so that was a really important part of my journey. Just know that you probably already have skills that are valuable to someone. And if it's really meant for you, you just tell people what you do, be who you are. And they might just say like, hey, I need your skill set. I'd be willing to trade you studio time for what you do. Especially if you're a social media guru. There are so many studios out there that you could be like, hey, like I'd love to create content for you. Hey, I would love to run your social media for you for the next 3 months so that we can work together. You never know. And I've done those trades of services deals all the time, and they worked out really great for me for the time being. It's not a long-term solution, definitely not, but it is something that can get you started and moving in the right direction. So the last part of my advice is be who you are. Being who you are is going to afford you more opportunities and put you with the right people than anything else. The way that I met the people that got me into music was I was hosting a venture capital event for South by Southwest. And if you don't know, South by Southwest has like a venture capital track. Crazy. South by Southwest has like a ton of stuff. Like they have music, film, all of the things that you could think of. So that's what I was doing, and that's what I was really good at the time, was events, business, marketing. And so these people that came like wanted to come for the South by Southwest music thing. So we were all hanging out and we were chilling, and you know, I just told them, they already knew what I did. And so we followed up, we had a coffee meeting, and the rest is history. And they helped me create my first like discography of music. Turns out I really needed to figure out my style and how I wanted to create my music before I could ever get to an album, which is something I'm still working on. But I have released singles. I do have things on Spotify. I used to have 5 songs on Spotify. Now I have 4. I took one down because I'm going to be redoing it. With that being said, that is how to get started in music. You have to be curious. You just have to do it. And be who you are in the process. And like I said, there is no one perfect path for people. You really just have to follow the principles of being curious, just do it, and be who you are. And I know I keep repeating that, but I really want you guys to understand that and take that to heart, because that method doesn't just work for music. That method works for life. That's how I got started in music. That's how you can get started in music. If you guys have questions about my journey, or if you want to do a consulting session, I've done many consulting sessions with artists that are up and coming, and they've done really, really well. I'll drop some examples on the screen here of people that I've worked with and that have really honestly done better than me. And I can't take all the credit for that because they are amazing individuals, and like when I gave them a piece of advice, they took it and they ran with it and went after it.
I also forgot to mention we have an upcoming show on the 8th at Six Springs Tavern in Arlington, Texas. So if you want to see me and all the people that I've helped achieve their dreams and maybe get a recommendation from them themselves about my consulting sessions, come check out us and our music. Again, that's April 6th, Six Springs Tavern. You can find it on my website, creatorjules.xyz.
Your music is only going to be as good as how well you know yourself. And I feel like that's why I've struggled for such a long time with my music, because it brought out a lot of things that I wasn't ready to deal with. emotionally wise, and I had to deal with those things first and go through a healing journey so that I could be prepared to live my best new era. And I believe that only the best is yet to come, and I truly believe this next season of life is going to be actually amazing. So, more than I could ever imagine. Wow. That is how to get started into music. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, please subscribe. I will have another video coming out soon. Stay social. Y'all are all gems.